Hey everybody, what's going on? Thank you for tuning into the X Button Gaming channel. As always, I'm your host Chris, and today we're going to be talking about the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, as in just my pickups, because somebody who was more prepared, or actually just wasn't so easily distracted, probably would have recorded a bunch of video from the convention, looking at different booths and some of the pickups as I got them. I brought everything to do it. You know, the selfie stick, the mics, and everything like I'm wearing now. But yeah, no, I was just too in the moment, shopping around, enjoying myself. I recorded, took a picture on our way there, and did nothing else the rest of the day. So yeah, this is just a pickups video. I had more pickups for the month of September. I decided to leave some of them out and just do the pickups from Portland, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. But the day before Portland, I had a solid pickup. So as of today is Monday, we went to Portland. Me and my friends went on Saturday, and Friday night I got a solid offer-up pickup that I'm going to be going over at some other point. I don't know if I'll do a video or just do a post, but there's some pretty decent stuff in there. Anyway, that's enough about that. So I'm sure a lot of people watching this have been to different retro game cons. There's plenty of them throughout the states and in other countries too. And I hear that some are really good. There's a lot that I'd like to go to, but as of so far, I've only been to Portland, and I've only been a couple times now. But both times, I had a blast because I could probably look at video games all day. Even if I'm not buying them, it's still fun for me to go from booth to booth, looking at things that I don't see every day. Some of those grail items that you just wish you could afford, like obviously, I did not buy. I'm not even an NES collector, but I didn't buy Little Samson. But it's cool just to see one in person. You know, somebody had a complete in box copy. It was like, I don't remember, $7,000, something crazy like that. But yeah, these conventions are really fun. It's a great place to get stuff some of the more obscure, rare stuff that you might have been looking for, that you don't see every day. So definitely, if you've never been to one before, see if there's one in your area, because there probably is one somewhat close, depending on where you live, and they're a lot of fun to go to. And if you live in the within range of going to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, uh, it's fantastic. Lots of shops there. So, but yeah, let's go over some of my pickups. So I separated them into two stacks. Towards the end of the day, I found a booth that was doing super good deals, $5 a game or 5 for 20, which of course was super common stuff. But I found some decent stuff that I was kind of excited about. So I'll do all that last. Actually, let's do all that first, because it's not as exciting so much. But so what I did first when I found that booth is there was they had a little basket of handheld games. So Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, and even a one Vita game. And I asked the guy if that was included in the 5 for 20, say $5 each or 5 for 20. He said yeah. So I was like, dope. So I've been kind of on a Vita kick, collecting games for the Vita. And the first thing I found that kind of pushed me in that direction was Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for the Vita. I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan. I've truly never really even played much of any of them. But for what breaks down to being about $4 for it, I was like, kind of contemplating going for a full Vita set. So I was like, that's a good deal. And I knew that not long before that, I had seen just the case and insert at another booth it was marked at $5, but he said all the cases were $2, and I didn't grab it because I didn't want just the empty Vita case. But finding that, I went back and grabbed the case for another couple bucks at that booth, and it has the flyer inside that came with it too, to allow you to download Call of Duty Roads to Victory, which I'm sure this code's been used or is expired. But that being said, I might try to use it anyway. I'm trying to see what the expiration date on here was. Whatever, doesn't matter. See if it works or not. But yeah, so for a total of $6, I completed Call of Duty Declassified on the Vita. So I thought that was kind of cool. But like I said, I kind of started just with the handheld games. I also found a copy of Mulan on Game Boy, which I until recently didn't even know it existed, and I love the cartoon Mulan, and thought it would be kind of a cool pickup for $4. And I put it in my analog pocket and already started playing it. That game is not very good. It doesn't look great. I mean, it was a Game Boy game, which you don't necessarily expect it to look fantastic, but it looks pretty bad, and it controls real clunky. I'm gonna give it another try before just giving up on it, but wasn't a fan of what I played so far. I also got Dr. Mario. Came in a little one of the plastic case protectors, so I thought that was cool. Dexter's Laboratory, Robot Rampage. I loved Dexter's Lab when I was a kid, and still love Dexter's Lab. So thought that was cool. I don't know if the game's any good, but for a couple bucks, not going to complain. And lastly, a copy of Mario Party DS, which I already have, but definitely worth $4. So that was the first one, and then I went and found my friend Jaden. We were looking at some booths, and I told him about this booth that everything was $5 or 5 for 20. So we went back again, and I ended up finding a bunch more just in like their other bins that were basically disc-based games. But I did find a couple of 3DS games that were complete in really good shape. Rock Band 3, which I did not even recall existing on the DS. I assume it's just stylus based. It would be cool if it used the Guitar Hero attachment, but I don't think it does. But it does feature music from the B-52s and NXS, the White Stripes, Smash Mouth, and Queen. So, I mean, good soundtrack. It's kind of funny, circa 2010, that they only mentioned bands from like 20 plus years old, basically, other than Smash Mouth. No, White Stripes, I guess, was more recent. But yeah, this was complete in box. There's a fat, like, instruction. I don't even know what this is. It's like the Wi-Fi manual, but it's huge. And then the manual's back. No, oops, not on camera. The manual's back there too. So yeah, that was a good one. And then I got Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Jedi Alliance. I have never played this, but I love Star Wars, and I will play just about anything Star Wars related. And then I also got Ace Combat Advance. I just tossed it in this case after I got it, but don't know much about that game, but I can't imagine it's very good. A dogfighting game on Game Boy Advance seems like it has potential to be very mediocre, but I don't know. I think the concept's cool. So then I grabbed Tiny Toon Adventures, Plucky's Big Adventure. Okay, so this show was popular probably when I was like 4 or 5. I was pretty young. But I loved this show. This show and Animaniacs, like, especially Animaniacs, some of the humor went over my head, but I loved both these shows, and I don't know, the disc is like, not that you can see it on the camera, but the disc is like pristine. The case is in really good shape. Unfortunately, the manual is water damaged, but once again, it was only a couple bucks, really, so, and in case you had, I don't know if you can see that, but the back of the case, it looks like a 3D, I don't know, platformer, kind of. I don't know. I don't know what kind of game it is. Doesn't seem like it's a very, like, sought-after game. It's pretty cheap overall, but I will give it a try. And I'm always looking to add games that I actually want to play to my PS1 collection. And I also grabbed, this is still in that 5 for 20 stacks, I grabbed a copy of Epic Mickey on the Wii that is sealed, and the seal is in pretty decent shape. I only grabbed it because it's sealed, because I already have this game. Not sure what I'm going to do with it. Probably use it to trade, or I don't know. Maybe just keep it and have a sealed copy for whatever reason. I grabbed Skylanders Giants. Not too exciting, but I grabbed it on the Wii U. I don't have it, and like I've probably said before, I am slowly and not very emphatically working on a Wii U set. So when I find common or cheap games that I don't have, I'll grab it. Let's leave this one for last. I grabbed Driver 3 for the Xbox. On the last pickups video I did, I'd grabbed Driver San Francisco. And I'd mentioned that I was a huge fan of Driver 1 and 2 on the PS1. And when Driver 3 came out, I was not a big fan of the fact that they were trying to copy the Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto idea, and go open world, out of your car, guns, explosions, and stuff. So I never played it, but for a couple bucks, it might be worth giving it a try now, seeing if it's any good. I remember hearing when it came out, it had some huge issues though, where it would like crash for no reason or whatever. On PS4, I grabbed Chicken Police. What's it called? Pink It Red. Uh, A Wild Tale of Love, Death, Chickens, and Redemption. Um, I had seen this just in passing before. I don't know anything about it, but it looks real wild. Jasmine loves weird stuff. My wife, Jasmine. So I thought maybe this would be something she'd be interested in too. Just to give you the synopsis here, Chicken Police is a buddy cop noir adventure with a carefully crafted world, a gritty story, and lots of absurd humor. The game mixes elements of classic adventure games with visual novel style storytelling. So it doesn't give you a lot to work on, but I do like classic adventure games, so kind of a cool pickup. And this was one I was excited for because I don't have any PS1 long box games, and I just think they're cool. I know nothing about this game, Gunship, but it was complete. It has the manual in here. It has the disc. The disc is in shockingly good shape for how old it is, and the fact that it was like in the bargain bin at a con. It has a couple little nicks on it, but nothing crazy. Um, but yeah, I literally got it just because I like the idea of having PS1 long boxes. I don't know if I'll ever play it. It looks all right. I'm not sure if it's any good. This is not a game I am familiar with at all. But yeah, you can't beat $4 a game. So that was all of it for those 5 for 20 deals I got. Ended up getting 3 stacks total, and I gave one game that I grabbed to my friend Jaden because he'd been looking at it, and I was like, I could use one more game. So, all right, on to some of the other stuff I got. So I have some games that are not complete in box that I always look for manuals for, and I actually got kind of fortunate and found a few manuals for games I was looking for. One that I needed was Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on the Game Boy Color. I have it box and inserts and everything else, but the manual was missing, so that was $2. And then I also got the manuals for Blast Corps for Nintendo 64 and Knife Edge Nose Gunner for Nintendo 64. Both games I got recently for very cheap with the box and other inserts, but both were missing the manual. So I was able to complete them for an extra, I think these were $2.50 a piece. The Knife Edge manual is kind of messed up a little bit, and it does have a rental sticker on it, but I don't really care. I'm just happy to complete it. If I find a better condition manual in the future, maybe I'll swap it out. But I wasn't too worried about it. I just like it's the whole manual. Everything's there, all the pages and stuff. So I was just happy to complete it for relatively cheap. Also grabbed a copy of Mole Mania on Game Boy Advance. This was apparently a little overpriced. Apparently it's super cheap, but I don't care. This game is expensive, the North American release of it. And I only played this game for the first time last year, and I freaking love this game. It is so good. It is so charming. It's insane to me that it's a Game Boy game because it has just it's got a lot of quality. It's up in that category to me of like the Pokemon games, Link's Awakening and Donkey Kong 94, that they all feel like top tier Game Boy games as far as they really push the boundaries of what they did on the console. So eventually, I do want to get an English or North American release version of the game, complete in box. But for now, I'm happy with the Japanese version, and the cover art on it is super adorable, with Monty and his little family there. I think it's a better cover than the North American release. I don't know what the release looks like in other countries, but okay. So then couple other fun pickups I got. This was just $5, but I got Dark Crystal, the UMD movie for the PSP. I've never seen this movie all the way through, but I like Jim Henson puppets. I didn't want to watch this movie when I was a kid because they creep me the heck out, and they're still kind of creepy. But like I love Labyrinth, and I just love the Muppets and everything. And like my friend Alex loves this movie, and I just need to watch it through and through. And I don't know why. I'm not sure if I'm actually more likely to watch it on PSP than I am if I was just to stream it, but still cool to have. So, and then this one I was excited for. At the same booth I got the Dark Crystal. I got a copy of Putty Squad for the Vita. So, quick shout out to Craig from Craig's Game Room. So if you haven't seen his channel, check it out. But he just completed his Vita set and mentioned some of the rare and obscure games to keep an eye out for, and this was on the list, and I saw it early at one of the booths I was at, and I just grabbed it. I was like, I'm not even going to think about it, because that was kind of my goal. I should have mentioned this at the outset, but I wanted to. I had a list broken down of the things in priority that I was looking for, and I'm really into my Vita right now and collecting for that. So I had a certain set of money set aside for just Vita games, and then like I had other titles that I was really looking for. Like I wanted Animaniacs on the Game Boy, complete in box, and Dragon Ball Origins 2 on the DS, complete, which I found neither of those. And I had some other stuff too, but overall I didn't find a lot of the stuff I was specifically looking for, but I did find at least some Vita games, which was one of my main goals. So I was happy to get that. And then at the end of the day, I did a trade for some stuff that I brought that I didn't need, and grabbed a copy of Rayman Origins for the Vita as well. This one was complete in box. I'm just now looking at it and thinking the cover art looks like it's reprinted, which I did not catch at the time. So if that's the case, that's disappointing, but I'll verify that later. It's not that big a deal. I'm sure it won't be that hard to get a real cover art. And then at that same booth, I also grabbed a copy of The Record of Lodoss War for the Dreamcast. This is a game that the Dreamcast had a few games that I always really wanted to play back in the day, but I didn't have a Dreamcast when they came out. And I remember this being one that I just was like fascinated by the idea of. It was when I was getting really into anime too, and I'm not gonna say I'm like a huge. I don't know a ton about The Record of Lodoss War, but I do believe it is based off of the. It was like a pen and paper RPG at start, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, and then they branched out and had a manga and an anime and stuff. But if I am wrong, feel free to correct me, because I am not positive on that at all. But I did play the recent Record of Lodoss War game. What's it called? Deedlit in the Wonder Labyrinth. And I really liked that, which was kind of like a Metroidvania style side scroller. This looks like it's more of a Diablo style 3D action RPG. Okay, it doesn't just look like that. It literally says it in the description. But yeah. So, like I said, I traded some stuff that I brought and got this, and I got that copy of Rayman Origins. So that was cool. And my last couple of pickups here from the day, this was earlier in the day, I went by a booth, and guy just had these sitting on the table for pretty cheap. It's Atelier Totori, The Adventures of Arland, and The Awakened Fate Ultimatum. Both PS3 RPG style games, and not gonna lie, I know very little to nothing. I'd never even heard of The Awakened Fate before I saw it on the table. But for 10 and 15 bucks, I was like, that's kind of seems like a good deal for two games I know nothing about that look like they'd probably be up my alley. So I grabbed them, and yeah, I'll have to check them out. I'm pretty happy with the price though. So yeah, overall, it was a great con. Like I said, I didn't get some of the things I was really hoping to get, but I got a bunch of stuff I didn't know I wanted. That 5 for 20 deal at that booth was pretty crazy. So I ended up with 5, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 games from the con, and didn't spend too terribly much overall, under 200. That's including that trade. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun, and happy with some of the stuff I found. If any of the games here, if you played them before and you liked them or hated them, like I'd like to hear more about some of them, 'cause especially the stuff that I got in those 5 for 20 stacks. Some of it was just on a whim, things that I thought seemed cool or I've wanted to play that I never did, and it was just a price point where I wasn't going to say no. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on them, I'd love to hear it. And if you went to Portland or any retro game cons recently and you want to share your pickups, definitely do. You can feel free to talk about it in the comments here on YouTube, or join follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or join the Discord and talk about it there. I'd love to hear it. So, as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. And remember to always press X to continue.